you guys, this is Nicole. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello. Nice to meet you through this internet thing we have going on. Today I'm here to talk about my adoption story and give you guys a little bit of insight into my life, what it's like to be adopted, and to connect with other adoptees who are just looking for support, people that are going through the same thing and who have gone through the same thing. Let me give a little bit of background so that you know who I am, where I'm coming from, all of that good stuff. Again, my name is Nicole. I'm 20 years old and I live in California in the United States of America. I was adopted pretty much in the womb. My birth mother gave me up for adoption while she was pregnant and chose my parents based on if she thought that if they would be a good fit. So unlike a lot of other adoptees, I wasn't adopted at an older age. I wasn't really aware of what was going on. I was a fetus. And before I start off, I just want to say that I was very well cared for as a child. I never went through a lot of trauma regarding my adoption. I was never in a situation like an orphanage or a situation where I was a child who was being abused and needed to be put up for adoption. Like I said, I was adopted while I was in my birth mother's stomach. So that part is extremely lucky. I got so blessed to not have to deal with some of the hardships that a lot of other adoptees have to go through and that I have heard about. So I just want to get that right out there so that you know where I'm coming from. I also want to explain right away why I refer to her as my birth mother. So I wasn't raised by the woman who gave birth to me. And while I do appreciate the fact that she grew me and brought me into this world, extremely grateful, I will never view her as my mother. Ever. Ever. The person who raised me is my mother. So throughout this video, when you hear me say mom or my mother, I'm talking about the woman who adopted me and raised me with her love. And when I say birth mom or birth mother, I'm talking about the woman who pushed me out of her vagina. Straight and simple. So my birth mother had a child before me who she kept. She raised a boy, my older half-brother. We share the same birth mother. She gave me up for adoption because she couldn't provide for me the way that she wanted to. She couldn't give me the home that I deserved, that everyone deserves. Every human on this earth deserves love, care, and a good home to grow up in. And she simply couldn't provide that for me, so she decided to look for another family who could take me as their own and raise me with the love and the affection that she wanted me to have. So my mom, the woman who raised me, who adopted me, she unfortunately wasn't able to have children on her own. She wasn't able to fall pregnant and she had a lot of complications. So her and my dad decided that adoption was the best thing to do in their situation because they did want to raise a child, they did want a family, and that's where I came in. They found my birth mother through some sort of adoption agency, and once my birth mother chose them, they were super excited and they were even there for the labor and my delivery. Not in the room, but they were in the hospital, and my mom, not my birth mother, was the first person to hold me, and that means a lot to me. So growing up, my parents never hid the fact that I was adopted. From a very, very early age. As soon as I could comprehend and understand words, they constantly told me that I was adopted. They never were ashamed about it. I was never ashamed about it. It was a very healthy situation regarding my adoption, and I'm very blessed and thankful that it was brought to me in this way and it wasn't some surprise thing on my 18th birthday where it's like, you're adopted. I can only imagine how hard that must be to think that you are blood related to someone and then to find out that you're not. It's probably super, super hard. So my parents definitely made the right choice by telling me from an early age about my adoption and making me feel super good about it and making me feel like it wasn't something wrong or something weird or something to be ashamed about. Now, my parents were not perfect. I mean, what parents are? If your parents were perfect, that's pretty rare and you're pretty lucky. Humans are not perfect. They just try their best. And although I did go through a lot of stuff with my parents growing up that was hard and challenging, I'll get into that maybe in a future video, they tried their best and they were far, how do I word this? I don't want to say that they were better parents than I would have had if I wasn't adopted, but it was the best family for me. It was definitely the right choice, the right situation, and I'm very grateful. But growing up, I went through a lot of emotions regarding my adoption. While I was very grateful for the situation that I was in, and while I wasn't ashamed, I definitely went through almost like stages of grief for not knowing my blood-related family. At first, I was pretty hurt. Once I would say around 8 or 9, maybe even 10 or 11, I was constantly asking myself, like, why didn't my birth mom want me? Why did she keep her other child, yet give me up? Was it because I was a girl? Was it because she didn't feel connected with me in the womb? Or, you know, things like that. So I went through a period where I was like, why didn't she keep me? Not that I wanted her to, but I just wondered and I was curious. The other stages of emotions that I went through was lots of curiosity. I was really interested in the reasonings behind the story of my birth, the story of my birth mother's life. I wanted to know about that. I wanted to know about my birth father. I wanted to know about my half-brother. I wanted to know all of it. I was very curious. I remember vividly having a conversation with one of my best friends in around 5th grade, I believe, maybe the summer going into 6th grade, somewhere around there. And I just remember having this epiphany that one woman's choice to put her child up for adoption changed my whole life. Her choice to give me a better life was just that. She gave me a completely different life. And that was really hard for my young self to wrap her head around. I couldn't understand how one person's choice could affect another person's life that much. And that was really the point in my life when I learned just how much our actions and choices affect other people's lives. Because in that moment, she was probably thinking about herself as well. She wasn't able to raise me. She wasn't able to give me a good life. And because of that choice, my life was completely different. And I went through a lot of emotions. And after I wrapped my head around the fact that her actions did affect my life, I just began to wonder, what was she like? What was the reasons? All of that. I also really remember a feeling of deep sadness as I grew older, because the connection between a mother and her child is something indescribable. I'm sure those of you out there who have had their own children know what I'm talking about. It's amazing, and I felt like I almost missed out on that. Not to say that the connection between me and my real mom, my mom that raised me, wasn't that, but I always wondered what it would be like to look at someone and see yourself in them, to see the similarities, to feel that blood connection, because in my whole life I had never met a person who I was blood related to. And that kind of bothered me for a while. I didn't really feel connected to a lot of my family that I was raised with. I always felt really connected to my parents that raised me, but my uncles, my aunts, my cousins, I never felt connected to them. I never felt related to them. I always kind of felt like an outsider. I always kind of felt like I was adopted. And I was adopted by a set of white parents. So I looked like them. No one would have ever questioned it. And I kind of do look like my mom. We have a lot of the same features. We have the same hair color, same skin color. Same with my father. We have the same skin color, and people never questioned it. It would have been different if I was a completely different race. I never had to worry about that or feel ashamed about that, but I did feel a disconnect just in general because of not being blood related. And I almost felt like I went through a loss because I didn't know my real family, my blood family. I really wanted to know what it was like to look at someone and know that you were related to them. And I almost envied that about my friends because I could see the similarities between them and their parents or them and their siblings. Also, I was raised as an only child, so I never had siblings. I never had anyone to share these feelings with. I'm sure if my parents adopted another child, my experience would have been completely different because I would have had someone to share this with. But I grew up not knowing any other adoptees, not knowing any of my blood relatives, and kind of feeling like a fish just swimming in the sea by itself. Yeah, I had people around me, but I went through a long period of time where it didn't feel like enough. So when I was around 17, 18, I started looking through my adoption papers, and I found the names of my birth mom and my half-brother. I looked them up on Facebook, and I found them. I did not have the nerve to reach out. I just silently creeped on them for a few years, getting to know what they looked like, and that felt like enough at the time. I didn't feel the need to reach out. It kind of scared me. It scared me what I would find. After I got through the period of feeling disconnected, sort of sad, I came to a place of deep gratitude. I began to see things in a different light. Like I was saying earlier in the video, it came to my attention again that one woman's choice changed my life forever. For the whole duration of my life, it was different. The whole experience that I had on this earth was different. And instead of seeing that as a sad thing, I began to have a deep, deep gratitude for her choice. She could have easily chosen to abort me. She could have easily found another family to care for me. She could have easily have just kept me and been selfish, knowing that she couldn't give me the life that she wanted me to have, that I deserved, that everyone deserves. So I began feeling the need to reach out, not to get to know her necessarily, but just to let her know that I felt gratitude and that I was thankful for her making that choice. And then I began to start seeing things from her perspective, my birth mom's perspective, of giving up your child. That's not easy. I'm sure that she went through, tons of emotions. I'm sure it was very, very hard, but she did it anyways, out of love for me. And I used to think that it was out of hatred for me. I used to think that she didn't want me or was getting rid of me like a puppy that you didn't want anymore. Just getting rid of it, like sweeping it under the rug and you don't have to think of it anymore. But then I realized that it's not that easy. It is not that simple to put your child up for adoption. So I began to not feel sad for myself anymore. I started to feel sad for her because she never knew me. She has never known me, and she never will know me the way that my parents do. And that's something for a birth parent to give up is probably excruciatingly painful, especially because she kept my half-brother, who's older than me. She already had a kid. She already knew what it was like to have a child, and to give that up after having one, I couldn't imagine. So I started to feel deep gratitude because for her to make that choice to give me a better life was extremely selfless of her, caring and loving. And I had an amazing life. I was so privileged, not just by the color of my skin, the fact that I am a white woman, which is very privileged, and I have so much to be thankful for and so much just privileges that were handed to me without me asking for them. And because of her, I had an amazing life. I had amazing parents. I had an amazing mom who really cared for me, loved me, truly went out of her way to have me. For some women, you just get pregnant and have a baby. My mother chose me. She went out of her way to get me. She almost died for me. Having a child almost killed her, so she made a choice to adopt a child, and for that I will always be grateful. And for my birth mother, she got pregnant and chose to give that little baby a much, much brighter future and a lot more privileges. So once I felt that feeling of deep gratitude and appreciation, I kind of felt like I wanted to reach out to her, but at the same time, I was very scared of what I would find. So I found my half-brother on Facebook, and a few months ago, we ended up meeting in person, and that was the first time I had ever met someone related to me, someone blood related to me. It was a very strange experience. He's an awesome person, but I can see how my life would have ended up, and I can see that me being put up for adoption didn't just bring up emotions for me, but it also brought up emotions for him as well. And that's a whole other can of worms that I won't open right now, but meeting someone blood related to me helped me realize that being blood related to someone isn't what it seems to be. I had this whole idea in my head that when I would meet a relative, a real blood-related relative, that it would just be overwhelming and I would feel this deep connection and this spiritual energy, this thing I couldn't explain. I felt that I would feel that, and I didn't. It was just like meeting another person on this planet, because in truth, we are all related. We are all connected to each other. And not to say that I regret meeting my half-brother, because I definitely don't. I'm so happy that I did. But it just brought on another wave of emotions, of thought processes that made my gratitude for my birth mother even deeper. And some of the things that I learned when I met with my half-brother really changed my perspective, really changed my mind about wanting to meet her. And if I ever did reach out to her, and if I ever do talk to my birth mother within this lifetime, the only thing I would want to say is thank you. Thank you for your choice, for your sacrifice, for your pain, for giving me a better life. And I feel that that is one of my greatest growing points in life, is going from feeling hurt, feeling unwanted, to feeling gratitude and appreciation and love. Because without that choice, I wouldn't be me. I wouldn't be the Nicole that is sitting here in front of you talking to you. And I wouldn't have the experiences, the people, the things that I've done in my life. I wouldn't have any of that. Sometimes I still feel out of place. I suppose that being an adoptee comes with that burden of always feeling just a little bit off. I'm not sure if a lot of other adoptees out there feel the same way, but for me, I feel that I will always have a little piece of me that doesn't feel like it belongs anywhere, because I wasn't raised by my birth family. I was raised by another family who became my family. Another thing that really came out of this process is a deep, deep love for my two parents that raised me. No one could ever replace them. No one. It doesn't matter if I'm blood related to them or not. They raised me as their own. They gave me a house to live in, clothes to wear. They sent me to school to learn things. They taught me how to walk, how to swim, how to ride a bike, how to read. They taught me life lessons that every child should know, how to treat others with respect and kindness. And my mom was always there for me when I just needed a hug, when I needed someone to cry to. My dad was always there when I needed someone for advice, for some life lessons, which I got plenty of. And although my parents weren't perfect, they were doing their best, and they really did give me the best life possible, and so much love, so much gratitude for them. It's just so much. And that's another thing that really came out of my whole journey through my emotions with this situation, is I really learned that your family is not who you're blood related to. It really isn't. It's who you love. You choose your family. If you were raised by people who abused you, who hurt you, that's not your family. You can choose your own family. Your family can be anyone. We're all connected in different ways, in weird webs of emotions, of experiences, of love, and truly, my family is my family. The people who raised me are my family. The people who I spent my life with is my family. And the people who I'm blood related to, those people are not my family. They're people who are blood related to me. I am from their line of ancestors, and while I have a deep gratitude for them, I don't feel that they're my family. And it took a long time to figure that out and to be at peace with that. But in learning that, I feel that I'm able to better connect with people. I'm able to create stronger connections. And it's just a truly amazing thing to realize. So, after all of this, I don't know where my life will take me. I don't know if I'll ever meet any other blood relatives. And at this point, I don't really care like I used to. I understand that life is a lot more complicated than it looks. Things aren't always as they seem, and it's just another reason to have kindness, compassion, and empathy for every single human on this planet. We all go through different things. We all have challenges to work through. We all have different emotions about our upbringing, our families, and we all deserve love and care. One of the things that I want to be most in this world is a mother, and whenever, if ever, I do have my own children, it will be amazing, not because I'm blood related to them, but because I will love them. I will love them with all of my heart. And that's what really matters. Love is the only thing that matters. Also, I would just like to say that no matter what experience you're going through, no matter what you've been through in your life, you deserve all of the love in the world. You are worthy, and nobody can take that away from you. I've been through so many emotions regarding my adoption, and like I said, the one thing that sticks with me is gratitude and love. So if you can find those feelings from whatever experience that you're going through, it will help you grow as a person. I have so much more work to do emotionally, spiritually, physically. I still have a lot of unanswered questions. I don't know if they'll ever be answered, and I don't really know if I want to know the answers anymore. I don't really think it matters as much. So, yeah. I'd like to end by letting you know that I'm here for you if you need support. If you were adopted and you're working through emotions, just know that it gets easier. It might not ever be easy. You might not ever figure it out. You might not ever get the answers that you're looking for. But that's okay. The only thing that you need to know is that you're loved, that you deserve love, and that you are capable of giving love. Please, if you are adopted or if you have adopted a child, leave your story below if you'd like. I'd love to connect with other people who have been through similar experiences. I love hearing other people's stories, and I just want to thank you for listening to my little story. It was kind of last minute. I never really planned on making this video, but once I met my half-brother, I felt like I wanted to share this just to help others who have been through or are going through the same thing, and to give you guys a little perspective on where I come from and why I am the way I am. I feel connected to every person because of this experience, because of who I am, where I come from, and it's a huge reason why I started thinking this way, thinking in spiritual terms and being a spiritual person, because I believe the root of spirituality is gratitude and love and connection. And those three things were really taught to me through my parents and through my adoption. So again, thank you for watching this. I have gratitude for you as well, and I hope that wherever you are in this world, you're happy, you're loved, and you're content. I'm sending you all of my love, and I will see you in my next video.